Australia is a stable, culturally diverse country with beautiful natural wonders. With a population of more than 21 million, Australia is the only nation to govern an entire continent, and it is the largest island but the smallest continent on the earth. And it is a land of opportunities. What comes first to mind when you think of Australia? Most people believe it must be the incredible hopping kangaroo of the country, and nobody would argue on that. Then what else? For me, as a Chinese Australian who lived in the country for more than a decade, the next thing that comes immediately to my mind is the Sydney Opera House, the iconic landmark of Australia. But of course, Australia never has only those two things that are well known to the world. It also has the lovely koalas, the must-see Gold Coast, the Great Barrier Reef, the Great Ocean Road, and the 12 Apostles, bushfires, barbecue, the Aussie-style footy, and many, many other things. Now, to better know the country, in this video, I'll introduce Australia in 5 different areas. Its land, its culture and customs, its tourist attractions, its food, and its sports. We'll start with the land and the system of government of Australia. Mainland Australia, with an area of 7.69 million square kilometers, is the Earth's largest island but smallest continent in the world. It stretches about 3,700 kilometers from north to south and 4,000 kilometers from east to west. In area, Australia is the 6th largest nation after Russia, Canada, China, the United States, and Brazil. Its ocean territory, the 3rd largest in the world, spans 3 oceans and covers around 12 million square kilometers. Australia's average elevation is only 330 meters, the lowest of all the continents. Australia has one of the most urbanized and coast-dwelling populations in the world. More than 80% of Australians live within 100 kilometers of the coast. The 6 states are New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, South Australia, Western Australia, and Tasmania. New South Wales is Australia's oldest and most populous state. Its capital, Sydney, is the nation's largest city, where you can have the visual wow factor that other cities may not give you. The city's Opera House and Harbour Bridge are Australia's national icons, and Sydney Airport is the country's major international gateway. The second most populous and the most densely populated state of Australia is Victoria. Melbourne, the capital Victoria, is Australia's 2nd largest city. Queensland is Australia's 2nd largest state in landmass. The capital of Queensland is Brisbane. The world-famous Gold Coast runs through Queensland's southeast coastline. South Australia. Did you know that more than 500 festivals taking place in South Australia? So it is known as the Festival State. Its capital is Adelaide, the city that contains many fine examples of colonial architecture. Tasmania, separated from mainland Australia, is the smallest state in Australia. It is one of Australia's most popular tourist destinations for both Australians from mainland and overseas visitors. The 2 territories are Australian Capital Territory Canberra, the nation's capital, and the Northern Territory, which is home to the famous Uluru and Kangaroo national parks. Well, that's basically about the land of Australia, and now let's look at the culture and customs of Australia. Australia is one of the most ethnically and culturally diverse societies in the world today. Australia doesn't have one uniform national culture because the country is made up of so many different cultures thanks to waves of migration following European colonization in the late 18th century. Joining the hundreds of Aboriginal groups are those early British and Irish settlers, European immigrants following World War II, then growing Asian and African communities in recent decades. In fact, almost 1 in 4 Australian residents were born outside of Australia, and many more are first or second generation Australians who are the children and grandchildren of recently arrived migrants. This wide variety of backgrounds, together with the cultures of Aboriginal peoples who have lived on the Australian continent for more than 50,000 years, have helped create a unique, multicultural Australian identity and spirit. All people in Australia are encouraged to learn English, which is the national language and is spoken by 73% of the population. And more than 100 languages are spoken by Australian Aboriginal peoples. Other languages reflect migration patterns and include Mandarin Chinese, Cantonese, Vietnamese, Italian, Greek, Arabic, Hindi, and Punjabi. In Australia, people walk on the left-hand side of the pavement, which is in line with driving on the left-hand side of the road. Generally, Australians are open, direct, but they value their privacy. Most Australians are friendly and helpful to strangers, but it takes hard work to develop deep friendships with them. Although they seem confident and loud, they are often cautious and uncommunicative about their real feelings. Australians have been well known for their humour, which sometimes takes some time to understand and has been described as larrikin and laconic in style, and their humour often is dry, full of extremes, anti-authoritarian, self-mocking and ironic. Australians don't respect people just because of their role in society or their birth. For example, teachers do not have a right to respect unless they earn it. They dislike people who appear to be arrogant. When thinking of travel to the southern globe, Australia is definitely a must. Australia is full of spectacular beauty, vibrant cities, coral reefs, ancient rainforests, red deserts, natural wonders, and many, many more wonderful tourist attractions. Here are some of the best and most visited tourist attractions in Australia. Sydney Opera House is a visiting card of Australia. Most people will think of the Opera House when Sydney is mentioned. It is not only Australia's most famous landmark. This unique structure is also one of the world's most instantly recognizable and iconic buildings. The Great Barrier Reef is one of the world's most sought-after tourist destinations. It is one of the 7 wonders of the natural world, and is one of the largest living structures on Earth visible from space. It is the most popular tourist attraction in Australia and the icon of Queensland. It is attracting 2 million visitors every year. Found in the Northern Territory, The red centre is considered to be the physical centre spot of Australia. Tourists will enjoy viewing Uluru, which is used to be known as the Ayers Rock. Viewing Uluru is considered to be an ideal activity at sunrise and sunset when the range of colours across the red rock seem to waver and change in fascinating patterns. Australia is one of the most exciting destinations for foodies in the world because of its culinary innovation and novel, healthy and fresh approach to food preparation. Australian cuisine owes its reputation to access to fresh and high-quality produce, the influence of Asia's diverse cuisines, and the multitude of ethnic groups represented in Australia. One of the many benefits of Australia's multicultural society is the truly diverse food enjoyed in restaurants and homes in every state and territory in the country. Well, this means there has never been one cohesive cuisine typically regarded as Australian food. Instead, Australia's cuisine has evolved with the distinct layers of flavour that each new culture has added. The Australians are well known for their barbecue prowess, and most households have some sort of a barbecue which normally includes sausages, prawns and lamb, followed by pork, chicken and even kangaroo meat. What? Kangaroo meat? Perhaps you don't believe this. The Australians eat their national symbol. Yes, it is true. Kangaroo regularly finds its way onto the menu. With 50 million roos hopping around the country, twice the population of humans, Australians' national icon is a common meal in the form of steak or sausages. The sports of Australia. Australia is a nation of sports lovers. Australia is also a champion nation. Despite its relatively small population, Australia has produced world champions in many sports, including cricket, rugby union, women's basketball, rowing, boxing, netball, field hockey, swimming and skiing. Australia hosted the Olympic Games in Melbourne in 1956 and Sydney in 2000. In 2003, Australia hosted the Rugby World Cup, the third largest sporting event in the world. Rounds of the Formula One and Motorbike Grand Prix are held annually in Australia, as well as World Championships and World Cup events in a variety of sports. 4 in 5 Australians agree that sport is a significant part of Australian culture. The often used analogy to describe their obsession with sport is that to Australians, sport is like a religion. They're more religious about sport than religion itself. They spend 4 times more time watching sport at home per week than doing religious activities. Like in any other country, in Australia, sport is extremely enjoyed both as a recreation activity and as entertainment. But some of those sporting activities stand out more than the others. As a foreigner, you might end up being very surprised when you learn about Australia's favourite sports. You even might be wondering, what's this sport even about? So next time, if you visit Australia, don't forget to explore its fascinating sports culture. It's an experience unique to this remote country, so don't miss out. Go run a marathon, watch a game of footy, or go and play some cricket in the local park. But do not miss your chance to enjoy at least one of these while you are in this beautiful country. Thank you for watching this video. Goodbye and good luck.